Oh, happy Monday morning. JSnip4 here, Realist News from YouTube. Before I get into this video, this topic about the Clinton Foundation shutting down the Clinton Global Initiative, which should bring tears of joy to every man, woman, and child on Earth. And it dawned on me, didn't the Webbot report just recently talk about something with the Clinton Global Initiative? And I thought, yes, it did. In the January report, which I had in my hands on December 30th. Here we are on the 16th of February, about to say March. January the 15th, 2017, posted the day before on the 5th, which again, you'll see this on the 16th. The 15th, it made news that Clinton Global Initiative, date of notice in the official filed paperwork, the 12th of January. Webbot report was out on the 30th of last month. Okay, so bear with me on that. But there's a TV show on, it's a series, and I couldn't help but to get a little teary-eyed watching it today. I've seen a couple episodes a few months ago, and I thought that was the end of it. Well, apparently they had at least 7 or 8 different episodes. Season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, episodes 1 through 8 or whatever, something like that. It's on the Learning Channel, and it's called Long Lost Family. And it's about kids that were put up for adoption or foster care that led to adoption, usually when they were babies. They don't remember anything. Sometimes when they were extremely young, maybe 1 or 2 years old. And then, they've been wondering their whole life, what happened to my parents? Do they love me? Are they alive? All the questions one might have, when you don't know your real parents. So the show does its damnedest to find the parents. Usually it's the kids that are trying to find the parents and having trouble doing so. So the show gets involved and does a lot of research and whatnot, tries to connect the families. So I'm watching this episode today, and it was just a family in New York. I think they were all in New York still, if I recall. I'm not sure. 2 daughters. This man, he's like, I was an alcoholic. I was a drunk. Their mother was pretty much no better shape than I was. He said the day I realized I needed to put them up for adoption was the day he came home after a drinking binge and realized, oh, there's my 2 daughters. Forgot all about them being there, being alone, mind you, and realized I can't do this. I can't put them in this kind of environment. So the wife at that time, her mother, apparently was as bad or worse, and he decided I've got to, put them up. And he said he remembers, because they weren't babies. They were, maybe 3 years old, 2, I'm not sure, 2 or 3. And he says he remembers the day he had to give them up and seeing them in the car, handing them off, basically, and the kids turning back, screaming and crying, like, Daddy, Daddy, And he had to let them go. I was like, and I'm just thinking, if that was me and my kids, how I could never, under any circumstances, allow that to happen. But you can't judge anybody unless you walk in their shoes, right? You never know what someone's going through. What if the kids wound up dead because he, went on a whatever binge for 2 or 3 days, they didn't drink or eat, now they're dead. You know what I mean? So sometimes people make decisions like that, again, for the betterment of the kids. But I started to get a little teary-eyed at that part, and they'd already said that, they were talking to him, so they already found him. They had good news to bring back to the girls. So they go back to the girls, who are now like 42, 43 years old. One has 3 kids, one has 1 kid, to tell them the news that, hey, we found your dad. And it's always the same, where did he love me? Why did he do that? Is he happy? All these questions, yes, he's fine. He wants to meet you guys. And then it dawned on me, my wife grew up with a single mother. Her mom was it. Dad was out of her life before she can even remember. And she'd always wondered, wonder what happened to my dad? Wonder if I could try to reach out to him. And not that long ago, she finally was able to do some research. I think she even paid for a small service that helped her. It was like really cheap. And they helped put her into contact with some people. She went to their Facebook page, found them, asked them, hey, are you so-and-so related to this guy that was related to my dad? And my dad's name was such and such. And they're like, yes, yeah. My dad, yeah, definitely. So they end up talking with her on the phone, my wife. And they told her what happened. Basically, he was, probably another drug user kind of a thing. Destroyed his organs, and I don't know how long ago it was, just a few years ago, not long. He died from liver failure or something, and that sort of thing. But of course, you can only ask them, what was my dad like? Did he ever mention me? And I'm seeing this show, and I'm thinking, wow, these kids, well, they're 40s now, get to see their father, so they can rebuild that relationship, But I'm thinking of my wife, my poor wife. She doesn't get to have that chance. It's over. He's dead, and she'll never know. And sometimes that might be a good thing when you say, well, if someone's like really bad, drugs, drunk, you don't even want to really meet them because you're like, oh, that's not my dad. But actually it is, like when they're that bad. Not to say that he was at that age, but we'll never know anyway. So I couldn't help but to think about that as I'm watching the show. I already had tears in my eye from seeing these two girls, hearing the story about them away in their car screaming for their father, which they said they don't even remember. They've never remembered that. They were too little. But he said they did because he remembers it and, has never forgotten about it. And I'm seeing them at least reuniting, and they can start the relationship now. So I already had tears in my eyes, and then I started thinking about my poor wife, and I started crying. Thank goodness nobody was home. My kids were gone. She was gone. They all went to Costco, and I'm just happened to watch the show, and I couldn't hold it back. It was just too sad. I couldn't keep him back. Last time I cried was, 16 years ago when my uncle, which is my mom's uncle, died. What an awesome guy, just a beautiful guy. And, being a man and all, you don't want to cry or be teary-eyed, much less anything else, But it just reminded me about, 15, 16 years ago when Uncle John died. But, my wife never got to see her dad ever, so she doesn't, the show can't help her, reunite, even though she already reunited and figured out who he is. But just thought about this because I've like telling myself, my family's gone right now. Go in there and do your videos today, get it out of the way for tomorrow. And then I'm thinking of this headline, this should bring tears to your eyes of joy, happiness. When I just had tears of kind of sadness, for my wife. And I don't know, just thought I'd just share that little bit of personal information whenever with you. So on to the story. The Clinton Foundation is shutting down the Clinton Global Initiative. I'm going to read you this, and then I'm going to read you a piece out of the WebBot report. It's an only one WebBot report, and it's the most recent WebBot report. But it's the first time I think it's ever mentioned the Clinton Global Initiative. When I first read it, I said CGI, and I'm like, what is he talking about? CGI, like the fake movie crap they do? It didn't dawn on me, and then people were like, no, it's probably Clinton Global Initiative. I was like, oh, yes, never mind, got it. That's what he meant. And he'd even talked about it recently, I think, Cliff High. So first, let's start with this article, and then let's finish with what that WebBot report talked about, Clinton Global Initiative, and how they may be related, as in this may be a WebBot hit in the making. Yeah, so Zero Hedge is covering the story. It's very short. In a mass layoff event reported late last week by Democratic Department of Labor, the Clinton Foundation announced it would lay off some 22 employees at the Clinton Global Initiative, which attained notoriety during the John Podesta leaks, when the various details of the fallout between the Clinton Global Initiative head Doug Band and Chelsea Clinton were revealed. It also emerged that longtime Bill Clinton friend Mr. Band was soliciting donations for Clinton through his PR firm, Teneo, in a sordid example of pay-to-play, which most of the mainstream media refused to cover, especially after Band emailed Podesta, quote, "If this story gets out, we are screwed," end quote. filed as mandated by the Department of Labor's Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification, or WARN notice, on January the 12th, the Clinton Foundation's Veronica Shiroka advised the DOL that as part of a plant layoff, it would lay off 22 workers on April 15th, with reason for the disclose or dislocation stated as discontinuation of the Clinton Global Initiative. The layoffs are part of the Clinton plan to put in motion ahead of the presidential election to offset a storm of criticism regarding pay-to-play allegations during Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State. So they have the little screenshot, which I don't really need to show it, but date of notice, 1/12/2017, event number such and such, company Clinton Foundation, reason for dislocation, discontinuation of the Clinton Global Initiative. As the Daily Caller notes, the layoffs were reportedly announced internally in September, ahead of Clinton's stunning loss to President-elect Donald Trump. Now, when I first read that, I said, so this was already known in September, and the Webbot mentioned Clinton Global Initiative in January. You might say, well, it picked up on that already, so it can't really be a hit. But it was internally announced, not externally announced. Nobody knew about this. We all just found out about this right now. And if anyone was paying attention by chance, the 12th of this month, January 2017, which again was 2 weeks after the Webbot mentioned the Clinton Global Initiative by name for the first time possibly ever that I'm aware of in any Webbot report. So we're going to have to see in a second, what exactly did it say about this? So it says many other employees had already begun looking for or accepting other jobs at that time, as it had become clear the future of the initiative was in doubt. It's unclear how many of the once 200-strong staff might remain at the Clinton Foundation in some other capacity. As a reminder, while the FBI has cleared Hillary Clinton of wrongdoing regarding her use of private email server, a parallel probe into the Clinton Foundation regarding allegations of corruption is still ongoing. The decision to sunset the Clinton Global Initiative reportedly set off a dispute within Clinton Foundation circles regarding the best way to handle the fallout from the allegations. Some complained the layoff process was insensitively handled, as Politico reported, while others took issue with the optics of allowing anyone with the Clinton Global Initiative to stay on. And while CGI is now officially being discontinued, the same fate likely awaits the Clinton Foundation itself following news in the aftermath of Hillary Clinton's loss to Trump that Australia has cut its donations to the foundation down to 0, while the far more generous Norway likewise slashed its donations by 87% as the political count of the charitable organization dried up and as the opportunity for any future quid pro quo is now effectively gone, says Zero Hedge. Now, if we go to the Webbot report, again, this was out December 30th, 2016, a full 2 weeks before this official notice was filed and anyone even knew that the Clinton Global Initiative was done. This is under the USA Pop section, and it's actually in the very beginning of this, a few paragraphs into it. So I'm going to start a little bit above where it says, where it has that keyword, and start there. The new data sets have a new political issue that will be rising up in a fierce way over early 2017 as the foreign H-1B worker visa programs, as described as being swept off the table. These sets show up show up first in early February, thereafter growing at a rapid pace through to early April, where we get a collision between foreign H-1B workers visas as a meme and the tax revolt language. These more or less merge at the same time into a larger political outcry that is showing as spawning not only trade wars language, but also boycotts internal to USA Pop language. The data would seem to suggest that a national campaign within the USA Pop is going to take on big corporations over much of next year as the media wars get into full battle rattle mode in USA Pop. Now, as I'm hearing this, speaking of big corporations, the Clinton Foundation, their Clinton Global Initiative, media wars, like what happened. We've exposed these emails from Podesta, which then put their Clinton Foundation in the Clinton Global Initiative under the spotlight, which showed a bunch of pay-to-play kind of crap. So you can kind of see that a little bit right here, but I'm not even at the point I need to be yet. The data sets around the foreign H-1B workers visa sets include other sets for technology boom that, in a strange twist of fate, is going to start up in areas outside the USA POP just at the time when the US dollar cannot compete in hiring talent. The data sets have the power shift in USA POP being a very, very interesting time for many of the people in the USA POP, as the political system is described as coming unglued. These sets have a bloody war that is going to break out from within the political parties, both of them, as the power shift, early days, will be bringing out a number of victims that will be visible across USA POP. Again, sounds like the first shots are fired at the Clinton Foundation and its global initiative. These victims are forecast to be the new face of the political fracturing. These sets have the political structure going through an upheaval that is described as being beyond any past experience. The data has this upheaval, including raids against high-profile organizations, and he has CGI question mark, Clinton Global Initiative question mark, that will be screaming news on TV for weeks. These sets are forecasting the opening salvo of the political structure falling apart. When I see the Clinton Global Initiative falling apart, I think that might hit the dinger on this one. Not to mention the other part of the Zero Hedge story. Not only is the Global Initiative going away, Clinton Global Initiative, that's done. They've already signed off on that. But this country, we're now sending you $0, Clinton. This country, we're dropping it from 87%. If you remember, right after the elections, or around that time, Iceland, one of my favorite countries for freedom and citizens who don't let the banks get away with murder, their president or prime minister stepped down abruptly out of nowhere. And we're all like, what's happening? I thought, Iceland, you've paid back your loans early to the IMF. You guys are doing great. You've got great people running things. I mean, why did this guy leave all of a sudden? And then it was about a week or 2 weeks later. I think it was about 2 weeks later. There's the story. The prime minister taking millions of dollars in Iceland taxpayer money and giving it to the Clinton Foundation. Maybe it was the Global Initiative or the Clinton Foundation, whatever. That's where it went. And he had pledged 11 or 12 million, but it only paid 6 or 7 million at that time. And he was stepping down. So I'm safely assuming the rest of that pledge is gone. And other countries have done the same thing. So I think this may be a Zero Hedge hit and a web hit, if you will. Zero Hedge saying we think the global, aside from the Global Clinton Initiative or Clinton Global Initiative, but the foundation is also going to be bye-bye in the near future. It sure seems that way, doesn't it? So everything that I just read you, including that last little piece, the data has this upheaval, including raids against high-profile organizations, Clinton Global Initiative, question mark, that will be screaming news on TV for weeks. These sets are forecasting the opening salvo of the political structure falling apart. If one giant thing could happen, that would be a sure sign that the political structure, i.e. the status quo and the way it's always been, is falling apart. I think the Clinton Global Initiative and their organization, their foundation, going under, might be a 100% hit on that keyword. The start of that. So could you imagine Trump gets in there, investigations still have to take place, we investigate the Clinton Foundation because they've already closed down the Global Initiative, so that's done. But the foundation's still open. We're going to take a peek in there. Oh my goodness, look what we found. Could it happen? Sure. I've already read that they're saying that the Justice Department, you're going to have to look into these emails. They can't just go away. Oh, okay. Which means what? This week, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th. By Saturday, we have the inauguration of President Donald Trump. And we might be in for some interesting treats and surprises with what exactly he's going to do and who's going to go after. And Clinton could very well be one. We just don't know yet. But I thought this was interesting when I saw that story that headline, read it, and then said, wait a minute, didn't that webbot say something about CGI, Clinton Global Initiative? Which one was that? Was the last one? Sure enough, went and looked it up, searched for it, boom, there it is right in my face. Went ahead a couple paragraphs above it, started reading, and it's even more related than I thought before even getting to the Clinton Global Initiative part. And that's all part of the last, that last piece was the second paragraph. The first piece I read you was the first paragraph. So it's all right in there, black and white, as Willy Wonka said. So just want to share that with you. Pretty interesting. Webbot, first time it's ever talked about that. Here it is. Again, 2 weeks early. And now it's official as of the 12th of January that the Clinton Global Initiative is gone, done. And he has it in here by name, talking about, not exactly that it's going to go away specifically, but he's talking about that part, raids against organizations, political organizations, etc., such as Clinton Global Initiative. And then this happens. Come on. Webbot gets another one. Webbot for the win. Take care.